I was stuck in traffic the other day. Not just regular traffic, but the kind of traffic where you're not moving at all, completely stationary, and I looked around at the other drivers, and it was fascinating to see the different reactions. Some people were honking furiously, as if the honking would magically clear the road. Some were yelling, their faces red with frustration. Some were trying to squeeze into every tiny gap, switching lanes desperately, only to end up in the same position. And then I noticed something interesting. There was a cab driver in the lane next to me, and he was completely relaxed. He had turned off his engine to save fuel. He was listening to music. He had a slight smile on his face. And I thought to myself, here's a man whose livelihood depends on moving, on reaching destinations, on completing rides. If anyone should be stressed about this traffic, it should be him. But he's the most relaxed person here. So when the traffic finally cleared and we were at the same signal, I rolled down my window and asked him, "How are you so calm? Doesn't this traffic bother you?" And he looked at me with such wisdom in his eyes and said, "Sir, I've been driving in this city for 20 years. I've learned something very important. The traffic is not in my control. My reaction to the traffic is. I can spend this time angry and stressed, or I can spend it peaceful and accepting. Either way, the traffic will clear when it clears, so why should I make myself miserable?" And he drove off, leaving me sitting there with a profound realization that cab driver had just given me a masterclass in how to handle tough times. Because aren't tough times just like traffic? You can't always control when they come. You can't always control how long they last. You can't always control the circumstances, but you can always control your response. You can always choose between resistance and acceptance. You can always decide whether you're going to let the situation control your inner state, or whether you're going to maintain your peace regardless of what's happening around you. I meet so many people who are stuck in the traffic of life. They're going through difficult times, challenging situations, painful experiences, and they're honking and yelling and switching lanes desperately, making themselves more and more stressed, more and more anxious, more and more exhausted. And I want to tell them what that cab driver taught me. Relaxation during tough times is not about changing your circumstances. It's about changing your relationship with your circumstances. It's not about making the traffic disappear. It's about finding peace while you're in it. Today, I want to share with you something that could completely transform how you experience difficult periods in your life. I want to talk about how to get relaxation from tough times. Not after tough times are over, not by avoiding tough times, but right in the middle of them. Because let me tell you something very important. Tough times are not the exception in life. They are part of life. They're not interruptions to your journey, they are the journey. And if you're waiting for everything to be perfect before you can relax, you're going to be waiting your whole life. So are you ready? Are you ready to learn how to find the eye of the storm, that place of calm and peace that exists even in the middle of chaos? Good. Let's begin this transformative conversation together. My dear friends, thank you so much for being here with open hearts and minds. Before we go deeper, I want to acknowledge something that's true for every single person in this room, and for every person who will ever hear these words. You have been through tough times, you are going through tough times, and you will go through tough times in the future. This is not pessimism, this is reality. This is the nature of human existence. We live in a world of duality, pleasure and pain, success and failure, health and sickness, gain and loss, connection and separation. You cannot have one without the other. They come as a package, and yet, somewhere along the way, we developed this fantasy that life should always be easy, that we should always be comfortable, that if we're good people, if we work hard, if we make the right choices, we'll somehow be exempt from difficulties. But that's not how it works. Let me share a story with you. There was once a woman who went to a wise teacher and said, "Teacher, I'm suffering so much. My life is filled with problems. Please give me a life without problems." The teacher smiled and said, "I know a place where no one has any problems." The woman's eyes lit up. "Really? Where is this place? I'll go there immediately." The teacher replied, "The cemetery, that's the only place where there are no problems, because if you're alive, you will have problems. The question is not how to avoid problems. The question is how to navigate them with grace, with wisdom, with peace." This is such a crucial understanding. We waste so much energy trying to avoid tough times, trying to create a problem-free existence, trying to control every variable in our lives so that nothing difficult ever happens. And this attempt itself creates more stress than the actual tough times would create. Think about it. How much anxiety do you experience trying to prevent bad things from happening? How much stress do you carry trying to control outcomes? How much energy do you waste worrying about potential problems that haven't even occurred yet? It's exhausting, and ironically, despite all this effort, tough times still come, because they are meant to come. They are part of the curriculum of life. They are here to teach us, to strengthen us, to deepen us, to help us grow. Now, I also want to clarify what I mean by relaxation. I'm not talking about sitting on a beach with a drink in your hand. I'm not talking about spa treatments or vacations or entertainment. Those things are pleasant, but they're not what I mean by relaxation. The relaxation I'm talking about is an internal state. It's a deep sense of peace that's not dependent on external circumstances. It's the ability to remain centered, calm, and clear, minded even when life is turbulent. It's what the ancient yogis called equanimity, the quality of mind that remains steady in both pleasant and unpleasant situations, in gain and in loss, in praise and in criticism, in success and in failure. This kind of relaxation is not something you find outside yourself. It's not something circumstances give you. It's something you cultivate from within. It's a skill, a practice, a way of being that you can develop regardless of what's happening in your external world. And this is powerful because it means your peace is not at the mercy of your circumstances. Your calm is not dependent on everything going well. Your relaxation is not conditional on having a problem-free life. You carry it with you, you access it from within, you maintain it through conscious choice and practice. Let me also share something from my own journey. There was a time in my life when I believed that relaxation would come once I achieved certain things. Once I completed my education, then I'll relax. Once I establish my career, then I'll relax. Once I reach a certain level of success, then I'll relax. But you know what happened. I achieved those things, and there was no relaxation. Because immediately new goals appeared, new challenges emerged, new sources of stress presented themselves, and I realized if I'm waiting for the perfect conditions to relax, I'll never relax, because perfect conditions don't exist. There will always be something, some challenge, some uncertainty, some difficulty, and that's when I learned this profound truth. Relaxation is not a destination you reach, it's a way you travel. It's not what you find at the end of the journey. It's how you walk each step of the journey. Now let's talk about the real problem. Why is it so difficult for us to experience relaxation during tough times? What are the specific obstacles that prevent us from finding peace in the middle of difficulties? The first major problem is resistance. When tough times come, our natural instinct is to resist them. We fight against what's happening. We say to ourselves and to the universe, this shouldn't be happening. This is wrong. This is unfair. This is not what I signed up for. This is not acceptable. And this resistance, this mental and emotional fighting against reality, creates tremendous suffering. Let me explain this with a simple metaphor. Imagine you're swimming in the ocean and a wave comes. You have two choices. You can fight against the wave, trying to stand firm, trying to push it back, trying to make it not be there. Or you can dive under it or ride over it, working with its natural movement. What happens when you fight the wave? You get tumbled, you get exhausted, you might even get injured. The wave doesn't care about your resistance. It's going to be a wave regardless. But what happens when you work with the wave? When you accept its presence and adjust your response accordingly, you navigate it smoothly, you conserve your energy, you might even enjoy the experience. Tough times are like waves, they come, they're here. Fighting against their existence doesn't make them go away, it just makes you exhausted. But here's what most of us do. We spend enormous amounts of energy in resistance. We keep saying, this shouldn't be happening. We keep replaying how things could have been different. We keep wishing for a different reality than the one we're in, and all of this resistance creates tension in our body, stress in our mind, and prevents any possibility of relaxation. The second problem is our stories about what the tough times mean. Something difficult happens. Let's say you lose your job. That's an event. That's a fact. You had a job, now you don't. But then the mind does something very interesting and very destructive. It starts creating stories. I lost my job because I'm not good enough. This means I'm a failure. This means my career is over. This means I'll never succeed. This means I'll end up poor and alone. This means everyone will judge me. This means my life is ruined. Do you see what happened? We went from one factual event, losing a job, to a complete catastrophic narrative about our entire life and future. And we believe this story. We treat it as truth. We identify with it. And this story, not the actual event, is what creates the suffering. The Buddha taught something profound. He said there are two arrows. The first arrow is the actual pain of a difficult situation. This is unavoidable. If you lose a job, there will be financial stress. If someone you love leaves, there will be heartache. If your health deteriorates, there will be physical discomfort. This is the first arrow, and it's part of being human. But then there's the second arrow. This is the arrow we shoot at ourselves. This is all the stories, interpretations, meanings, judgments, and catastrophizing we add on top of the actual situation. And this second arrow, this is what creates the real suffering. This is what prevents relaxation. The third problem is our attachment to how things should be. We have very fixed ideas about how our life should unfold. We have timelines, we have plans, we have expectations. And when reality doesn't match these expectations, we experience tremendous stress. I should be married by now. I should have achieved this by this age. My children should behave this way. My career should look like this. My relationships should be like that. My health should be better than this. And every time reality deviates from these shoulds, we suffer. We experience frustration, disappointment, anxiety, stress, because there's a gap between what is and what we think should be. And we're stuck in that gap, unable to relax, unable to accept, unable to make peace with reality as it is. The fourth problem is our addiction to control. We want to control everything. We want to control outcomes. We want to control other people. We want to control the future. We want to control circumstances. And when we can't control things, and the truth is we can't control most things, we become anxious. We become stressed. We become unable to relax. Think about it. How much of your stress comes from trying to control things that are ultimately beyond your control? How much energy do you waste trying to force outcomes? How much mental space is occupied with planning and strategizing and trying to ensure everything goes according to your plan? And the irony is, The more we try to control, the more out of control we feel. Because life has its own intelligence, life has its own timing, life has its own way of unfolding, and it rarely follows our limited understanding of how things should go. The fifth problem, and this one is very subtle but very powerful, is our lack of trust. We don't trust life, we don't trust the process, we don't trust that things will work out, we don't trust that there's a bigger intelligence at work. We don't trust that difficult times might actually be serving a purpose we can't see yet. And without trust, relaxation is impossible, because relaxation requires a certain letting go, a certain surrender, a certain faith that even if you don't understand everything, even if you can't see the whole picture, even if things feel chaotic right now, there's an underlying order. There's a deeper meaning. There's a purpose to what you're experiencing. So what's the solution? How do we cultivate relaxation in the middle of tough times? Let me share with you 5 powerful practices that can transform your experience of difficulties. The first practice is radical acceptance. Now, acceptance does not mean approval. It doesn't mean you like what's happening. It doesn't mean you're giving up on changing things. Acceptance simply means acknowledging what is without adding layers of resistance on top of it. It means saying, "This is my current reality. I may not like it. I may not have chosen it. But it is what it is. And I'm going to work with this reality rather than fight against it." When you practice acceptance, something miraculous happens. The tension in your body releases. The constant mental argument with reality stops. You create space, and in that space, relaxation becomes possible. Let me give you a practical example. Let's say you're stuck in a difficult job. You hate the work, the boss is terrible, the environment is toxic. Now you have limited options. Maybe you can't quit immediately because you need the income. Maybe you're looking for other opportunities, but it takes time. So what do you do in the meantime? Option 1 is to spend every day resisting. I hate this. I shouldn't have to be here. This is terrible. Why is this happening to me? This resistance will make every single day miserable. You'll be exhausted, stressed, unable to enjoy even your time outside of work because you're carrying this constant resistance. Option 2 is acceptance. Right now I'm in this job, I don't like it, but I'm here. Instead of fighting this reality, I'm going to accept it and do what I can within it. I'll do my work to the best of my ability. I'll maintain my professionalism. I'll continue looking for other opportunities, but I'm not going to waste energy fighting against the fact that this is where I am right now. Which option do you think leads to more relaxation? Which option conserves your energy? Which option allows you to think clearly and act strategically? Obviously, option 2, that's the power of acceptance. The second practice is perspective shifting. When you're in the middle of tough times, your perspective naturally narrows. You zoom in on the problem. The problem becomes your entire world. You can't see anything else. But what if you could zoom out? What if you could see the bigger picture? Here's a powerful exercise. Imagine your life as a movie. Right now, you're in a difficult scene. It's challenging, it's uncomfortable, it's painful. But it's just one scene in a much longer movie. And often in movies, the difficult scenes are the ones where the most growth happens. They're the ones that make the character stronger, wiser, more capable. They're the turning points that lead to transformation. When you zoom out and see your current difficulty as one scene in a longer story, it changes everything. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this preparing me for? What am I learning from this? How is this strengthening me? What qualities is this difficulty developing in me?" This shift in perspective doesn't make the difficulty disappear, but it changes your relationship with it. It allows you to find meaning in the struggle, which makes the struggle more bearable. The third practice is anchoring in the present moment. Most of our stress about tough times is not actually about what's happening right now. It's about what happened in the past or what might happen in the future. We're replaying past mistakes. We're rehearsing future disasters. We're catastrophizing. We're worrying. And all of this happens in our minds, not in the present moment. Here's a powerful truth. Right now, in this exact moment, are you okay? Not yesterday, not tomorrow, not next week, but right this second. Most likely, yes, right now you're breathing. Right now you're alive. Right now, in this immediate moment, you're okay. The suffering is in the story about the past or the future. When you bring yourself back to the present moment, again and again, you'll find that there's actually space for relaxation. Right now, in this breath, there can be peace. This doesn't mean ignoring problems or avoiding planning for the future. It means not losing yourself in mental time travel. It means staying grounded in the now while taking wise action for the future. The fourth practice is self-compassion. During tough times, we tend to be incredibly harsh with ourselves. We criticize ourselves. We judge ourselves. We tell ourselves we should be stronger. We should be handling this better. We should have it all figured out. But this self-criticism only adds to the suffering. What if instead you treated yourself the way you would treat a dear friend who's going through a difficult time? What would you say to them? You'd probably say something like, "This is really hard. It makes sense that you're struggling. Anyone would find this challenging. You're doing the best you can. Be gentle with yourself." This compassionate self-talk creates a completely different internal environment. Instead of fighting yourself, you're supporting yourself. Instead of adding stress through self-judgment, you're creating space for healing and relaxation through self-kindness. The fifth practice is gratitude in the midst. This one is counterintuitive but incredibly powerful. In the middle of tough times, practice finding things to be grateful for, not fake gratitude, not pretending everything is fine, but genuine appreciation for whatever is still working, still beautiful, still good in your life. Maybe you're going through financial difficulties, but you have your health. Maybe you're dealing with health issues, but you have loving people around you. Maybe you've lost someone, but you have beautiful memories. Maybe your career is struggling, but you have food on your table. There's always something. And when you train your mind to notice what's working alongside what's not working, your entire perception shifts. You start to see that tough times, as challenging as they are not your entire reality. There are still islands of grace, moments of beauty, sources of joy, and recognizing these doesn't diminish the difficulty, but it provides balance. It provides perspective, it provides relief, and in that relief, relaxation can emerge. Now, my dear friends, understanding these practices intellectually is one thing, but transformation happens through application. So I want to give you very specific, actionable steps you can implement starting today to cultivate relaxation during your tough times. First, I want you to start each day with what I call the reality check. Before you even get out of bed, before you check your phone, take 60 seconds to simply acknowledge your current reality without judgment. Say to yourself, silently or out loud today, "This is my situation. I accept where I am. I may not like everything about it, but I'm not going to waste energy fighting against reality. I'm going to work with what is." This simple practice, done daily, will train your mind to move toward acceptance rather than resistance. It sets the tone for your entire day. It reminds you that you have a choice in how you relate to your circumstances. Second, I want you to create what I call a perspective journal. Get a notebook or create a note on your phone, and every evening, Write down 3 things. First, write what's difficult right now. Be honest. Name the tough times you're experiencing. Don't sugarcoat it. Second, write what this difficulty might be teaching you or developing in you. Maybe it's patience. Maybe it's resilience. Maybe it's compassion. Maybe it's trust. Maybe it's the ability to ask for help. Whatever it is, try to find the growth opportunity hidden in the challenge. Third, write 3 things that are working in your life right now. 3 things you're grateful for. 3 things that are good, even if they're small. This practice does something powerful. It trains your brain to see difficulties as temporary and educational rather than permanent and meaningless. It helps you maintain perspective. It prevents you from collapsing your entire life into the current problem. Third practice, and this one is crucial, implement what I call worry windows. Here's how it works. Choose 2 15-minute periods in your day, maybe 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. These are your designated worry times, and here's the rule. During these 15-minute windows, you allow yourself to worry. You can think about all your problems. You can catastrophize. You can stress. You can plan. You can analyze. You have complete permission to engage with your tough times mentally. But outside of these windows, whenever worries arise, you gently say to yourself, "Not now. I'll think about this during my worry window." And you redirect your attention to whatever you're doing in the present moment. This practice does 2 important things. First, it contains your worry. Instead of worrying all day long, which is exhausting and prevents relaxation, you limit it to specific times. Second, it trains you to have control over your thoughts rather than being controlled by them. You're not suppressing worry, you're scheduling it. And interestingly, when you actually get to your worry window, you'll often find that you don't need the full 15 minutes. Many worries lose their power when they're not allowed to run wild all day. Fourth, start a daily practice of body scan relaxation. Set aside 10 minutes each day, preferably before bed. Lie down comfortably. Close your eyes and slowly bring your attention to each part of your body, starting from your toes and moving up to your head. As you bring attention to each body part, consciously relax it. Release any tension you're holding. Breathe into any tightness. What this practice does is incredible. Tough times create chronic tension in our bodies. We hold stress in our shoulders, our jaw, our stomach. This physical tension keeps us in a state of alertness and prevents relaxation. By deliberately releasing this tension daily, you give your nervous system permission to rest. You train your body that it's safe to relax even when circumstances are challenging. Fifth, find what I call your relaxation anchor. This is an activity or practice that reliably helps you feel more relaxed, and you commit to doing it daily during tough times. For some people, it's a walk in nature. For others, it's listening to music. For some, it's cooking. For others, it's meditation or prayer or reading or spending time with a pet or doing yoga or painting or gardening. What matters is that it's something that genuinely shifts your state, that brings you peace, that helps you disconnect from the constant thinking about your problems. Schedule this anchor activity every single day. Non-negotiable. Treat it as seriously as you would treat a doctor's appointment or an important work meeting, because this is your medicine. This is how you're actively cultivating relaxation in the middle of difficulty. Sixth, practice the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique whenever you feel overwhelmed. This is a powerful way to instantly bring yourself back to the present moment and out of anxiety about your tough times. Here's how it works. Notice 5 things you can see around you. Name them silently or out loud. Notice 4 things you can touch or feel. The texture of your clothes, the surface you're sitting on, the temperature of the air. Notice 3 things you can hear. Maybe birds, maybe traffic, maybe your own breathing. Notice 2 things you can smell. If you can't smell anything, remember 2 smells you enjoy. Notice 1 thing you can taste. Or 1 thing you appreciate about your body right now. This simple exercise takes less than 2 minutes, but it's incredibly effective at interrupting the spiral of anxious thoughts and bringing you back to the peaceful present moment. Finally, create an accountability and support system. Identify 1 or 2 people who you trust, who care about you, who understand what you're going through. Share with them that you're working on cultivating relaxation during this tough time. Tell them the specific practices you're implementing and give them permission to check in with you, to ask you how you're doing, to remind you of these practices when you forget, to hold space for you when you need to express difficult emotions. Because tough times are not meant to be navigated alone. We're social beings. We need connection. We need support. And sometimes, just knowing that someone else knows what you're going through and cares about you can bring tremendous relaxation. My dear friends, as we come toward the end of our time together, I want to share one final story that I hope will stay with you. There was once a farmer whose donkey fell into a dry well. The animal cried for hours as the farmer tried to figure out what to do. Finally, he decided the animal was old and the well needed to be covered anyway, so it just wasn't worth retrieving the donkey. He invited all his neighbors to come over and help him. They all grabbed shovels and began to shovel dirt into the well. At first, when the donkey realized what was happening, it cried horribly. Then, to everyone's amazement, the donkey quieted down. A few shovel loads later, the farmer looked down into the well and was astonished at what he saw. With every shovel of dirt that hit the donkey's back, the donkey was doing something amazing. It would shake it off and take a step up. As the farmer's neighbors continued to shovel dirt on top of the animal, it would shake it off and take a step up. Pretty soon, the donkey stepped up over the edge of the well and trotted off, to the amazement of everyone. My friends, life is going to shovel dirt on you. All kinds of dirt, difficulties, disappointments, defeats, betrayals, losses. The question is not whether the dirt will come. The question is, what will you do with it? You can let it bury you, or you can shake it off and step up. You can let tough times crush you, or you can use them as stepping stones. You can let difficulties drain all your energy through resistance and stress, or you can accept them, learn from them, and maintain your inner peace while you navigate them. This story beautifully illustrates everything we've talked about today. The donkey didn't like the dirt. The donkey didn't choose the dirt. The donkey would have preferred to not be in that well at all. But once it was there, once the dirt started falling, it had a choice about how to respond. It could have kept crying, could have kept fighting, could have let each shovelful bury it deeper. Instead, it practiced acceptance. It accepted that dirt was falling. It couldn't control that, but it could control its response. Shake it off, step up, shake it off, step up. That's the rhythm of navigating tough times with relaxation. You acknowledge the difficulty. You accept that it's happening. You don't waste energy fighting reality. And then you take whatever steps are available to you while maintaining your inner peace. I want you to know something very important. The practices I've shared with you today are not just concepts. They're not just nice ideas. They're powerful tools that have been tested by millions of people across thousands of years. They work, but they require practice. They require commitment. They require patience with yourself as you learn new ways of being. You won't master this overnight. There will be days when you forget everything and fall back into stress and resistance. That's okay. That's part of the process. The key is to keep coming back, keep practicing, keep choosing acceptance over resistance, Keep anchoring in the present. Keep finding perspective. Keep being compassionate with yourself. Keep practicing gratitude. And gradually, slowly, steadily, you'll notice something changing. You'll notice that tough times still come, but they don't completely overwhelm you anymore. You'll notice that you have more capacity to stay calm in the middle of chaos. You'll notice that you can access peace even when circumstances are challenging. You'll notice that relaxation is no longer something that only happens when everything is perfect. It becomes a quality you can cultivate from within, regardless of what's happening around you, and this is freedom. This is power. This is mastery. Not mastery over your circumstances, but mastery over yourself. Not control over life, but peace within yourself. Not the elimination of tough times, but the ability to navigate them with grace, wisdom, and yes, even relaxation. I also want to remind you of something crucial. Seeking relaxation during tough times is not selfish. It's not about ignoring problems or avoiding responsibility. In fact, when you're relaxed, when you're centered, when you're at peace, you're actually much more effective at dealing with challenges. You think more clearly. You make better decisions. You have more energy. You're more creative in finding solutions. You're more resilient. You're able to support others better. Stress and anxiety don't make you better at handling tough times. They make you worse. They cloud your judgment. They deplete your energy. They make everything harder than it needs to be. So by cultivating relaxation, you're not avoiding the tough times. You're actually equipping yourself to navigate them more skillfully. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here today, for being willing to explore these ideas, for being open to the possibility that you can experience relaxation even in the middle of difficulties. Remember that cab driver stuck in traffic, completely at peace because he understood what was in his control and what wasn't. Remember the donkey in the well, shaking off each shovel of dirt and stepping up. Remember that tough times are not your enemy. They are your teacher. They're here to help you grow, to deepen you, to strengthen you, to help you discover capacities within yourself that you didn't know you had. And through it all, remember that you have the power to choose. You can't always choose your circumstances, but you can always choose your response. You can always choose acceptance over resistance. You can always choose presence over worry. You can always choose self-compassion over self-criticism. You can always choose perspective over catastrophizing. You can always choose gratitude alongside challenge. Go forward, my friends, with the confidence that relaxation is not something you have to wait for. It's something you can cultivate right now, right here, right in the middle of whatever tough times you're experiencing. It's already within you. You just need to practice accessing it. And as you do, as you learn to relax even in difficulty, you'll discover something beautiful. You'll discover that you're more resilient than you thought, more peaceful than you imagined, more capable than you believed. The tough times will reveal your strength, and the relaxation you cultivate within them will become your superpower. Thank you, and may you find deep peace and profound relaxation, no matter what life brings your way.